A millionaire CEO falls for his secretary on a blind date by mistake, but didn't realize she works at his own company. Before we start the story, comment below where you're watching from. Enjoy the story, everyone. Sophia took a deep breath before entering the restaurant. She was trying to convince herself that Chloe's idea, a blind date, wasn't so bad. Already late, she hurried in and saw a man alone at the back, wearing a white shirt, just as described in the message. As she approached, she noticed something curious. A small cake with colorful icing in the middle of the table. Her heart melted immediately. How thoughtful, she thought. Without hesitation, she smiled and sat down. "Hi, you must be Michael, right?" she said while adjusting her chair. "I can't believe you even know my birthday. How kind of you to bring a cake." William looked up, surprised by the sudden arrival of the young woman. Before he could correct the mistake, Sophia continued, "Wow, I've been on many dates, but none were this thoughtful. You've really scored points with me." She laughed, leaning in to get a better look at the cake. William stayed silent, observing the scene. He was there waiting for his assistant, Trevor, who was bringing the birthday guest, his dog Bentley. The cake, of course, was for the dog, but before he could say anything, Sophia picked up the knife. "Hope you don't mind, but I'm going to have a piece." She cut the cake and took a generous bite. "Wow, this is delicious. Did you have it made?" William couldn't help but smile a little, both at the confusion and her boldness. He decided not to interrupt. The moment was broken when Trevor arrived, holding Bentley, a small French bulldog wearing a blue birthday hat. Trevor stood still, clearly confused to see Sophia at the table. "Mr. William, sorry for the delay. Bentley was nervous about the hat," Trevor said, placing the dog on the chair next to William. Sophia froze, still holding the fork. She looked at the cake, then at the dog, and finally at Trevor and William. Reality finally hit her. The cake wasn't for her. Her face turned bright red. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she said, quickly standing up. "I think I sat at the wrong table." Trevor tried to stifle his laughter, while William just nodded, still smiling. "Don't worry, it happens," said William, staying calm but clearly amused by the situation. Sophia grabbed her bag and rushed out of the restaurant without looking back. As she disappeared through the door, William kept watching, intrigued. Her spontaneity and confidence had surprised him. William couldn't get Sophia out of his mind. Who was she? And why did he feel so curious about this woman, who appeared so unexpectedly in his life? 2 days had passed since the unexpected encounter at the restaurant, but for Sophia, it felt like it happened yesterday. She couldn't forget the embarrassment of eating a dog's birthday cake in front of a complete stranger. Chloe, of course, found the story hilarious. At least it was memorable. "I bet he'll never forget your face," Chloe joked while typing on her computer. Yes, memorable for being the woman who crashed his dog's birthday. Sophia rolled her eyes, trying to focus on her work. Sophia worked at a large marketing company, and her life was filled with tight deadlines, administrative tasks, and endless reports. Despite the rush, she liked the job. It was stable, something she needed to help support her sick mother. That same day, the office was buzzing. Rumor had it that the new CEO would take his position that morning. No one knew exactly who he was, but there was an air of anticipation. Sophia, however, barely had time to worry about it. She was swamped with tasks. When the clock struck 9 a.m., the elevator in the center of the floor opened with a soft metallic sound. Sophia was in front of the door holding a stack of documents. When she saw the man stepping out, she froze. It was him. William. He recognized her immediately too. Their eyes met and an uncomfortable silence hung in the air. Sophia felt her face burn with embarrassment. He, on the other hand, seemed to hold back a smile. "Good morning," said William, his voice calm and professional as he walked past her toward the meeting room. Sophia stood still for a few seconds, trying to process what had just happened. He was the new CEO? How was this possible? Feeling even more uncomfortable, she tried to focus on her tasks. Meanwhile, William entered the conference room and was greeted by his team. He was there to take over the company and was aware that his arrival carried high expectations. But deep down, his thoughts were still on the young woman from the restaurant. Later, back in his office, William called his assistant, Trevor. "Trevor, I need a personal secretary immediately. Someone reliable who can manage my schedule and handle appointments." A few minutes later, Trevor appeared with a folder in hand. He placed it on the desk and opened it, revealing a series of detailed profiles with photos of company employees. "These are the candidates who already work here and have the experience for the position," Trevor explained. William flipped through the pages, glancing absent-mindedly at the photos and resumes until one image caught his eye. He stopped immediately when he saw Sophia's face. Her name was highlighted at the top of the profile, Sophia Clark. He didn't need to read anything else. "I want her to be my secretary," William said, pointing at the photo. Trevor raised an eyebrow, surprised by the quick decision. "Understood, sir. I'll bring her to your office." Meanwhile, downstairs, Sophia was reviewing a report when she got the call. "Sophia, the new CEO wants to see you. Can you come to his office now?" the receptionist asked. Sophia felt a chill run down her spine. Why would the new CEO want to see her? Still trying to process their brief elevator encounter, she adjusted her hair and headed upstairs. When the door to the CEO's office opened, there was William, seated behind an imposing mahogany desk. Sophia froze for a moment, her heart racing. Was he the new CEO? How was that possible? William looked at her and gestured for her to come in. "Please, come in and have a seat, Miss Clark," he said, his tone calm and professional. Sophia obeyed, doing her best to avoid eye contact. William kept his gaze fixed on her for a moment before continuing. "I need a personal secretary. Someone who can organize my schedule and coordinate administrative tasks. I've received excellent recommendations about you, and I believe you're the perfect fit for the job," he explained. Sophia felt a mix of surprise and discomfort. Working directly with William would mean facing the awkward memory of the restaurant every day. "Of course, sir. I'll do my best to meet your expectations," she replied, keeping her tone professional. William nodded, satisfied. "Great. Consider yourself hired." Sophia left the office, trying to manage the whirlwind of emotions. She needed the job, but how would she work alongside someone who had witnessed one of the most embarrassing moments of her life? While Sophia wrestled with the idea of keeping things strictly professional, William seemed to have his own reasons for choosing her as his secretary. Reasons that might not have been entirely about her qualifications. Sophia's routine changed quickly after she took on the new role. She was now responsible for organizing William's complex schedule, preparing detailed reports for important meetings, and closely tracking the CEO's activities. Despite her determination to remain professional, she couldn't ignore the growing tension she felt whenever she was near him. William, on the other hand, appeared calm and confident, but there was something different about the way he interacted with Sophia. He treated her with an unusual kindness, something that didn't seem to fit his typically serious demeanor. A week after Sophia started her new position, William stopped by her desk. "Miss Clark, I need you to accompany me to some external meetings this week. It's important for you to get familiar with our key clients," he said, handing her a list of appointments. Sophia nodded, keeping her tone professional. "Of course, sir. I'll prepare the necessary documents." That same day, Sophia and William attended their first meeting together. She noticed how confident and decisive he was, earning everyone's respect in the room. During the meeting, he occasionally glanced at her, as if gauging her reactions to the discussions. It made her a bit nervous, but she managed to stay composed. After the meeting, William suggested they have lunch together to discuss the next steps. Sophia hesitated for a moment but eventually agreed. "How are you adjusting to the new role?" he asked as he scanned the menu. "It's challenging, but I'm learning a lot." Sophia replied carefully. "That's good. I enjoy working with people who can adapt to new challenges," William said with a slight smile. The lunch went smoothly, but Sophia still felt uncomfortable with how close he was. Though she tried to focus on the work conversation, there was something about the way he looked at her that made her heart race. That evening, after a long day of meetings, William insisted on giving Sophia a ride home. "It's late, and you look exhausted. Please, let me drive you home," he said, with a tone that left no room for objections. Sophia tried to refuse, but eventually gave in. On the way, the silence in the car was comfortable. When they arrived at her building, Sophia opened the door and stepped out, only to twist her ankle. "Ouch!" she exclaimed, losing her balance. Before she could fall, William was by her side, holding her firmly. Are you okay? He asked, concerned. Sophia tried to pull herself together, but the pain in her ankle was obvious. I think I twisted my ankle, but I'm fine. I can make it upstairs on my own. William ignored her attempt to brush him off and picked her up without hesitation. That's not up for discussion. I'm taking you to your apartment. Mr. Bennett, you don't have to. Sophia protested, but he was already carrying her up the stairs. When they reached her apartment door, Sophia quickly unlocked it, still embarrassed by the situation. William gently placed her on the sofa and looked around. Do you live alone? He asked, while she massaged her ankle. I live with my mom, but she's in the hospital tonight, Sophia replied, avoiding eye contact. William noticed the hesitation in her voice, but decided not to press the issue at that moment. I'll let you rest. We'll take a break from meetings tomorrow so you can recover, he said, then left. Sophia stared at the door, feeling strangely protected but also confused by his behavior. The next day, William came to her desk with a more serious expression. I've been thinking about your workload. I know you're working hard, but I need you to take better care of yourself. I don't want you overdoing it, he said, looking directly into her eyes. Sophia felt her face flush. She didn't expect to hear that, especially from someone who was usually so direct and demanding. Thank you, sir. I'll try to balance things better, she replied, not quite sure what to say. As he walked away, William seemed satisfied with her response, but Sophia knew this closeness was starting to complicate things. She needed to find a way to maintain professional boundaries, even though her heart was starting to say otherwise. The tension between them grew every day. But Sophia knew that getting involved with William would be a mistake she couldn't afford to make. Yet, it seemed increasingly difficult to resist the man who made her question all her rules. The relationship between Sophia and William continued to develop in unexpected ways. Despite maintaining a professional demeanor, Sophia couldn't avoid the moments when William's gaze seemed to pierce through her, as if he wanted to uncover all her secrets. She knew she needed to keep an emotional distance, but his kind gestures and attention constantly disarmed her. One quiet afternoon at the office, Sophia was reviewing the schedule for the following week when Chloe appeared with 2 cups of coffee. Gossip break, Chloe said, pushing a cup toward her. Sophia smiled, accepting the coffee. Chloe was always a ray of sunshine amidst the chaos of work. So how's it working with Mr. Magazine's CEO? Chloe laughed. Is he as scary as they say? Sophia hesitated but then laughed. He's not scary. He's demanding but fair, and surprisingly kind sometimes. Kind? Chloe raised an eyebrow. That sounds interesting. Sophia rolled her eyes, but before she could respond, Trevor appeared. Miss Clark, Mr. Bennett wants to see you in his office immediately. Sophia sighed and put her cup down, getting up. When she entered William's office, she found him standing by the window, looking lost in thought. He turned when he heard the door close. Sophia, I need you to accompany me to a social event on Friday night. It's an important meeting with investors, and it would be helpful to have someone assist me with the presentations. Of course, sir. I'll organize everything necessary for the event, she replied, keeping a professional tone. Oh, and... William hesitated, something unusual for him. I need you to pretend to be my girlfriend during the event. Sophia blinked, confused. Your girlfriend? William took a deep breath before explaining. My ex-girlfriend Vanessa will be there. She's persistent. I want to avoid any awkward or unnecessary situations. It's just for one night. Sophia remained silent for a few seconds. She hadn't expected that request, but it was hard to turn him down. All right, if it's necessary, I'll do it, but I don't want any payment for it, she said firmly. William seemed surprised by her response, but nodded. Very well. Thank you for this, Sophia. Friday came quickly, and Sophia felt a flutter of nerves as she prepared for the event. She wore an elegant dress borrowed from Chloe, who insisted on helping her get ready. When William arrived to pick her up, he paused for a moment, seemingly surprised by her appearance. You look stunning, he said, his voice lower and softer than usual. Sophia smiled shyly as they got into the car. At the event, Sophia played her role perfectly, smiling and interacting with the guests. However, it wasn't long before Vanessa approached. William, what a pleasant surprise, she said with a fake smile before turning to Sophia. And this is... Sophia, my girlfriend, William said firmly, taking Sophia's hand. Vanessa looked Sophia up and down, clearly trying to intimidate her. How interesting. Well, I hope you both enjoy the evening, she said before walking away. William lightly squeezed Sophia's hand, as if to reassure her. Later, as they were heading back home, William decided to drop Sophia off at her apartment again. On the way, he commented, "You were incredible tonight. Thank you for helping me with everything." Sophia smiled, feeling a bit more at ease. "It was my pleasure, Mr. Bennett." When they arrived, Sophia stepped out of the car and thanked him again. However, as she tried to walk quickly, she stumbled. William caught her by the waist, holding her steady. "You really need to watch where you're going," he teased with a genuine smile. Sophia laughed, her heart racing. But in that moment, something in William's eyes seemed different, as though he wanted to say something more. Before he could, she thanked him again and headed up to her apartment. Let's have some fun with those who only read the comments. Type pizza in the comments. Only those who make it this far will understand. Now, let's continue the story. The next morning, William arrived at the office as usual, but there was something different about him. He seemed more introspective. During the daily meeting, he occasionally glanced at Sophia, making her uneasy, though she pretended not to notice. Shortly after lunch, Trevor walked into Sophia's office with an envelope in hand. "Sophia, Mr. Bennett asked that you deliver this personally to the finance department. He said it's urgent." Trevor informed her in his usual professional tone. Sophia took the envelope and headed to the lower floor. While waiting for the elevator, she overheard familiar voices. Two women from the administrative team were talking about the previous night. "Did you see Mr. Bennett with that woman at the event? They make an interesting couple, don't you think?" One said. "Interesting is a polite way to put it. He could be with someone much more suitable for his position, don't you think?" The other replied, laughing. Sophia felt her stomach turn. She knew many people thought she wasn't a good match for someone like William, but why did it bother her so much? He wasn't her real boyfriend after all. The day dragged on, and Sophia tried to focus on her work. Late in the afternoon, William appeared at her desk. "Sophia, I need you to accompany me to an off-site meeting tomorrow. It's with an important client, and your assistance will be crucial." He handed her a folder with information. "Of course, sir. I'll prepare everything necessary," she replied, keeping her tone professional. The next day, Sophia and William attended the meeting together. During the drive, William seemed more relaxed, sharing some ideas for future projects. Sophia took the opportunity to jot down notes but couldn't help smiling at some of his more casual comments. The meeting went well, and Sophia felt her work was being recognized. At the end of the day, William suggested stopping at a nearby restaurant for dinner before heading back to the office. "You deserve a break after today. And honestly, I'd rather eat here than deal with traffic right now," he said casually. Sophia hesitated but eventually agreed. During dinner, they talked about work but also touched on personal topics. Sophia shared a bit about her childhood and mentioned her mother, who was ill. William, in turn, briefly shared how he had taken over the company under unexpected circumstances. "My mom means everything to me. I'm doing my best to take care of her," Sophia said softly. "She has always supported me, even when things got tough." William looked at her more closely, as if seeing beyond her professional facade. He realized there was much more to Sophia than he had imagined. After a quiet dinner at the restaurant, William offered to take Sophia to the hospital where her mom was staying. On the way, he noticed the tension on her face and how her restless hands gripped the seatbelt. Sophia was clearly worried, but remained silent. When they arrived, Sophia tried to say goodbye quickly, but William insisted on accompanying her to the room. "You kept me company at dinner. It's only fair I return the favor. I want to make sure everything is okay with your mom," he said, with a reassuring smile. Reluctantly, Sophia agreed, and they walked through the hospital corridors until they reached the room. When they entered, she saw her mom, Grace, lying in bed, sleeping deeply. The machines around made soft rhythmic beeps, indicating everything was stable. "She just had surgery. She's recovering well but still needs time to rest," Sophia explained, adjusting Grace's blanket. William watched in silence, respecting the moment. After a few seconds, he gently touched Sophia's shoulder. "I'll leave you two alone. If you need anything, please call me. I'll be around. Sophia nodded, thanking him with a shy smile. As soon as William left, Grace began to stir in bed, slowly opening her eyes. Sophia? She called, her voice weak. I'm here, Mom, Sophia replied, holding her hand. Grace looked around, confused, and then seemed to remember something. Who was that man with you? He seemed special. Is he your boyfriend? Sophia froze. She knew how much her mom pressured her to start dating and live her life instead of working so much. Unable to think of a quick excuse, Sophia responded impulsively. Yes, Mom, he's my boyfriend. Grace's face lit up with a radiant smile, clearly thrilled. Finally, dear. I knew you would find someone good. He seems wonderful. Sophia just smiled, trying not to show her discomfort. After a few minutes, Grace fell back asleep, and Sophia sat by her side, trying to understand what she had just done. The next morning, Sophia asked William to meet for coffee at a small bakery near the office. He seemed surprised by the invitation but accepted without hesitation. While they sat at a table by the window, Sophia took a deep breath before speaking. I need to tell you something, she began, not looking directly at him. My mom saw you at the hospital yesterday, and I ended up telling her you were my boyfriend. William was silent for a moment, but didn't seem surprised. He just raised an eyebrow, curious. And why did you say that? He asked calmly. Sophia nervously fidgeted with her coffee cup as she explained. My mom is always pressuring me to date and stop focusing only on work. She's sick, and I didn't want to disappoint her. So, I said it without thinking. William leaned forward slightly, his eyes fixed on hers. And what do you want me to do? He asked, a slight smile on his lips. I wanted to ask if you could pretend to be my boyfriend. Just while she's in the hospital. I don't want her to worry about me. Sophia looked nervous but relieved to finally say what she needed to. To her surprise, William didn't hesitate. Of course, Sophia. If it will help you and your mom, I'll do it. Sophia looked at him, surprised and grateful. Thank you, William. I really appreciate it. In the following days, William played his part perfectly. He visited the hospital with Sophia, always attentive and caring, easily winning Grace's affection. To Grace, William seemed like the ideal son-in-law, and she didn't hide her joy at seeing her daughter dating. Between hospital visits and work, William and Sophia began to spend more time together. He made her laugh with stories from his childhood, and she impressed him with her intelligence and determination. Even though their arrangement was just a facade, the two began to form a genuine connection. One night, as they returned from a hospital visit, William stopped in front of Sophia's apartment and walked her to the door as he always did. But this time, before she could enter, he gently grabbed her arm. Sophia, wait. She turned, surprised. William's eyes were fixed on hers, more intense than ever. Before she could say anything, he leaned in and kissed her, gently and suddenly. Sophia froze at first, but soon found herself returning the kiss, momentarily forgetting everything around her. When they finally pulled away, William looked at her with a mix of seriousness and vulnerability. I know this is just an arrangement, but it's getting hard to pretend, he admitted. Sophia didn't know how to respond. Her mind was in turmoil, and her heart was racing. She stepped into her apartment without saying another word, leaving William at the door, lost in his own thoughts about what had just happened. The next morning, Sophia arrived at the office earlier than usual. She needed time to process what had happened the night before. William's kiss lingered in her mind, stirring up a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. She couldn't deny how connected she had felt in that moment, but it also complicated everything. William, on the other hand, seemed calmer than ever. When he entered the office, he greeted Sophia with his usual smile, though there was something different in his gaze, as if he wanted to say something, but was waiting for the right moment. The day dragged on as they both avoided mentioning the kiss. Sophia tried to focus on work, but William's occasional glances were impossible to ignore. At the end of the day, Sophia was eager to leave, hoping for some mental relief after days of tension. However, as she exited the main doors of the building, she was caught off guard. Two men were waiting for her on the sidewalk, wearing worn-out jackets and looking impatient. Sophia immediately recognized them. They were the same men she had borrowed money from to pay for her mother's surgery. "Miss Clark, we've been waiting far too long for that payment," one of them said, crossing his arms. You know our patience only goes so far, right? The other added, his tone menacing. Sophia took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Please, just a little more time. I'm so close to getting the money. I just need a few more days, she replied, her voice trembling slightly. Unbeknownst to her, William had just exited the side entrance of the building and overheard the conversation. He stayed back, watching the scene unfold. Sophia's words echoed in his mind. I'm so close to getting the money. Pieces began to fall into place for him. Their meeting at the restaurant, her sudden involvement in his work, and now this suspicious exchange. Was it all part of a plan to take advantage of his position and wealth? After a few curt words of parting, the men walked away, leaving Sophia visibly relieved. William, without revealing that he had heard everything, got into his car. On his way home, his mind was racing. Was her sitting at my table that day really a coincidence? Was this all planned from the start? He recalled the genuine connection he felt with Sophia, but now doubt clouded every memory. The weight of his suspicions grew with each passing moment. The next morning, Sophia arrived at the office early again. When she saw William walk in, she offered him a timid smile. "Good morning, Mr. Bennett," she said softly. To her surprise, he walked past her without even looking at her. His indifference left her confused and uneasy. Throughout the day, William remained distant, speaking to her only when necessary and in a cold, detached tone. Sophia felt the tension mounting with every hour. By the end of the day, unable to bear the silence any longer, Sophia decided to confront him. She knocked on his office door and entered before he could respond. "Excuse me, Mr. Bennett. I need to talk to you," she said, folding her arms to mask her anxiety. William looked up at her, his face a mask of indifference. "What is it, Sophia? I'm busy," he replied curtly. Sophia frowned. This wasn't like him. "Is everything okay? You've been acting strange all day. Did I do something wrong?" William let out a bitter laugh, shaking his head. "Something wrong? Let's see, Sophia. Do you think sitting at a stranger's table the day we met was just a coincidence? Or was it a carefully planned strategy?" "What are you implying?" she asked, her voice trembling. William stood, placing his hands on the desk and locking eyes with her. "I'm saying you only got close to me because you knew who I was. Because you knew I was wealthy and could help with your problems. This was all planned, wasn't it?" Sophia froze, stunned by his words. "Do you really believe that?" she asked, her voice cracking. "What else am I supposed to believe? Last night, I heard you talking to two men, begging for more time to get the money. What am I supposed to think, Sophia?" he said, his voice now louder, mixing anger and disappointment. "Do you really think I'm that kind of person? That I could manipulate someone like that?" she replied, with tears threatening to fall. "I don't know what to think anymore. All I see is a story that makes sense. And honestly, I'm tired of being fooled by good intentions that turn out to be lies," William retorted. Sophia clenched her fists, trying to control the pain and anger rising in her throat. She knew explaining her situation at that moment would be useless. He had already made up his mind. "I never expected you to think so little of me. But if that's what you believe, there's nothing I can do to change your mind," she said, her voice low and controlled. "I expected more from you, William." Without waiting for a response, Sophia turned and left the room, closing the door harder than she intended. As she walked down the hallway, tears finally streamed down her face. After Sophia left, William sat in the chair. As much as he wanted to be right about his suspicions, something about the way she reacted deeply bothered him. The hurt in her eyes seemed too real to be faked. He ran his hands through his hair, trying to organize his thoughts. Later, Trevor entered the room to deliver some reports. Noticing William's expression, he hesitated before speaking. "Sir, you seem worried. Is something wrong?" William shook his head but ended up opening up. "Sophia, there's something that doesn't make sense. I don't know if I'm being fair or making a mistake." Trevor, who knew a bit about Sophia's story, decided to speak. "Sir, if I may, Sophia is one of the most dedicated people I know. She works hard to take care of her mom, and I've never seen her ask anyone for anything. If you think she has ulterior motives, it might be worth reconsidering." Those words echoed in William's mind. What if he was wrong? What if he had judged Sophia unfairly? He knew he needed answers, but he feared he had already caused irreparable damage. Sophia arrived early at the office the next morning, but the pain from William's accusations was still fresh in her mind. Despite being hurt, she decided to focus on work and avoid any personal interaction with him. Her priority was to protect her dignity, even if it meant dealing with the growing distance between them. William, on the other hand, spent the entire night tossing and turning. The conversation with Trevor and memories of the moments he had shared with Sophia left him increasingly restless. What if he was wrong? What if, instead of uncovering a lie, he had pushed away the one person who really mattered to him? Mid-morning, while William was reviewing some documents in his office, Trevor entered hesitantly. "Sir, I hope I'm not disturbing you, but there's something I think you should know." William looked up, frowning. "What is it, Trevor?" Trevor hesitated for a moment, but decided to continue. "It's about Sophia. I don't know what happened between you two, but I know she's been facing a lot of challenges. She doesn't like to talk about it, but her mom recently went through a complicated surgery, and she managed everything on her own, without asking anyone for help." Trevor's words made William's stomach churn. He remembered Sophia's kindness, the way she cared for her mom, and began to hate himself for not considering that before judging her. "Go on," William requested, his voice lower. "I heard rumors that she borrowed money to cover medical expenses. I know she's struggling to pay off that debt, but she's never used it as an excuse to ask for anything from the company or from you. She's a proud person, sir. Maybe it's important to consider that before jumping to conclusions." William sank into his chair. He felt the weight of his actions, realizing he had made a terrible mistake. At the end of the day, William decided he needed to talk to Sophia. He knew that apologizing was only the first step, but it was necessary. He waited until the workday ended and went to her desk, but found the space empty. Determined, he went to the hospital, where he knew her mom was staying. When he arrived, he saw Sophia sitting in the waiting room, her head resting in her hands. She looked exhausted, physically and emotionally. He hesitated for a moment but took a deep breath and walked up to her. "Sophia," he called, his voice soft. She looked up, surprised to see him there. Her expression immediately hardened. "What are you doing here?" she asked, coldly. William sat next to her, feeling the weight of the moment. "I came to apologize. I realized I was unfair to you." Sophia crossed her arms, trying to maintain her composure. "Unfair is a kind way to describe what you did, William. You accused me of something terrible without even trying to understand the truth." "I know, and I regret it," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. "I was wrong and I have no excuse. I overheard bits of a conversation and jumped to conclusions, but please, let me make it right." Sophia stayed silent, watching him. There was pain in her eyes, but also a glimmer of something deeper. Something William hoped was the connection they had before. "Do you know how hard it is to be accused of something you didn't do?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I would never do what you thought. Never." William nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "I know that now, and I'll do whatever it takes to show you how sorry I am, Sophia. Just tell me how." In the days that followed, William made every effort to show Sophia he was determined to make amends. He started with small gestures, helping her with reports, ensuring she had time to visit her mother in the hospital, and even bringing her coffee in the mornings. Let's play a little game with those who only read the comments. Type Coca-Cola in the comments. Only those who read this far will understand. Now back to the story. Sophia, hesitant at first, began to notice the sincerity in his actions. Gradually, her anger gave way to cautious hope. Maybe William really was sorry. One afternoon, while they were working on an important presentation, William paused and looked at her. "Sophia, I just want you to know that I don't need any proof of your honesty. I trust you, and I'm sorry I didn't before." Sophia looked at him, surprised by the vulnerability in his voice. She knew William wasn't the kind of person to admit mistakes easily, and that meant more to her than he could realize. "I believe you, William, but it's going to take time to rebuild what was broken," she said honestly. William nodded, accepting her words. "I'm willing to wait as long as it takes." Though the apology was an important step, Sophia still remained cautious. But there was something undeniable growing between them again, something that even William's mistake couldn't erase. William spent the next few days reflecting on their conversation at the hospital. The weight of his mistake lingered in his mind. He knew he had hurt someone who had only shown kindness and dedication. Every action Sophia had taken, even before the misunderstanding, now seemed full of meaning. She was genuine, something rare in his world of appearances and ulterior motives. Sophia, on the other hand, felt conflicted. While she wanted to believe William's remorse was genuine, his words still echoed in her mind, and the wound left by his distrust ran deep. She tried to focus on work and caring for her mother, but the weight of their confrontation lingered. The next morning, Sophia arrived at the office and found William in the break room. He held 2 cups of coffee, and when he saw her, he offered one. She hesitated for a moment but accepted it. "Thank you," she said, her tone reserved but polite. "I know I have a long way to go to earn your trust back," William began, his voice low and serious. "But I want you to know I won't stop trying to fix this." Sophia didn't respond immediately. She took a sip of coffee, letting the warm aroma comfort her before looking at him. "Fixing things is about more than words, William. It's about actions," she said plainly. He nodded, taking the challenge in her words. William knew he had to prove, through consistent actions, that he was committed to rebuilding the bridge between them. That afternoon, as they reviewed a presentation together, Sophia noticed that William was unusually quiet. He seemed hesitant, as though he wanted to say something. Finally, he broke the silence. "Sophia, can I ask you a question?" he said cautiously, almost vulnerably. She looked at him, raising her eyebrows. "Sure. Why didn't you ask for help? I mean, you're so strong. You always handle everything on your own, but sometimes asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's just human." The question caught her off guard. She stayed silent for a few seconds, searching for the right words. "I think asking for help has always been hard for me, especially because people often confuse it with dependency or inability. I wanted to show that I could solve my problems on my own. It's always been that way." William nodded, as if he was finally understanding something essential about her. The silence between them was no longer uncomfortable. It was filled with mutual understanding. When the workday ended, William walked with Sophia to the elevator. She hesitated before pressing the button to go down, looking at him. "I know you're trying, William, and I appreciate it," she said with a softer tone than before. The small smile she gave before the doors closed warmed William's heart. It was a small step, but a significant one. In the days that followed, William continued to show his sincerity through simple and thoughtful gestures. He made sure Sophia had all the support she needed at work, but he also respected her space. For Sophia, it was hard not to notice his genuine effort. Slowly, the coldness she had felt began to melt away. One evening, after a long day at the office, William suggested they have dinner together to discuss some project ideas. Sophia agreed, and they went to a quiet little restaurant away from the city's hustle and bustle. During dinner, the conversation was light and relaxed. For the first time in weeks, Sophia felt comfortable around him again. They laughed about past stories, and William even shared a bit about his own life, something he rarely did. When he dropped her off at home, he stood at the door for a few seconds, as if wanting to say something, but decided against it. Sophia entered her apartment feeling different. Maybe, just maybe, she could start trusting him again. William, on the other hand, knew this was only the beginning of his journey to win Sophia back. But, for the first time, he felt there was hope. Although the wound from the misunderstanding was not completely healed, both felt that the first step towards overcoming it had been taken. The next morning, when Sophia arrived at the office, she found a message from William on her desk. It was an invitation to join him for a meeting with an important new client that afternoon. She hesitated, but knew it was part of her duties as his personal assistant. "You accepted the invitation, right?" asked Chloe, approaching with a coffee in hand. Sophia shrugged. "I don't have many options. It's work." Chloe raised an eyebrow, analyzing her closely. "Work? Sure, but don't pretend you don't like the attention. He's clearly trying to make things right." "That doesn't change what happened, Chloe. He doubted me in a way I never imagined. And that hurts." Chloe nodded, understanding. "Just remember that no one is perfect. Sometimes people make mistakes, but what's important is what they do after that. If he's trying, maybe it's worth hearing him out. Sophia pondered her friend's words as she prepared for the meeting. Later, William came to her desk and they went to the meeting location together. In the car, the atmosphere was quiet but not uncomfortable. William, however, seemed nervous, as if trying to find the right words. "Sophia," he began while driving. "I know there's still a lot to be said between us, but I want you to know that I'm here, ready to listen when you're ready." Sophia looked at him for a moment, evaluating the sincerity in his eyes. Although she wasn't ready for a deeper conversation yet, his words touched her. "Thank you for saying that, William. But for now, I think we should focus on work." He nodded, respecting her decision. The meeting was a success. Sophia was impressed with William's ability to handle clients and close deals. It was easy to forget sometimes why he was in that position. His determination and charisma were undeniable. When they left, he surprised her by suggesting they stop for dinner. "It was a long day. I think we deserve a break before heading home," he said with a smile. Sophia hesitated but agreed. During dinner, the conversation flowed naturally. William seemed more relaxed, and Sophia couldn't help but feel at ease listening to his stories and funny comments about work. As they walked back to the car, William suddenly stopped and looked at her. "Sophia, I know you still have reasons to doubt me, but I want you to know that I'm trying to be a better person. For you." His words caught her by surprise. Sophia felt her heart race, but didn't know how to respond. Instead, she looked away, gathering the strength to keep her composure. In the following days, William's gestures continued, small but meaningful. He made a point of being attentive to her needs, whether by lightening her workload or offering help with everyday challenges. Although Sophia remained cautious, something in her attitude began to shift. She noticed that, despite the mistake he had made, William was genuinely trying to make amends. One evening, as they reviewed a project together at the office, William approached her hesitantly. Sophia was focused on the documents, but she noticed his presence and looked up. "Can I ask you something?" he said cautiously. "Of course," she replied, curious. William took a deep breath before continuing. "Why didn't you give up on me? After everything that happened, I mean. Why are you still here, giving me a chance to fix things?" Sophia was silent for a moment, reflecting on the question. Finally, she answered honestly. "I guess it's because I saw something in you, William. Even after everything, I believe you're not just the man who judged me unfairly. You're more than that." William felt a wave of relief and emotion at her words. He leaned slightly forward as if wanting to be closer to her, but stopped, respecting the boundaries still between them. Sophia looked away, nervous, but there was a small smile on her lips. As she left the room, William realized that, for the first time in weeks, there was a glimmer of hope in his relationship with Sophia. He knew there was still much to do, but he was ready to do whatever it took to regain her trust. Their connection, though fragile, seemed to be growing stronger again. Both of them understood they were on an uncertain journey, but neither was willing to give up. William continued his efforts to regain Sophia's trust, knowing it would be a long road. He observed her from a distance, noticing that she was beginning to let her guard down, though something still held her back. Sophia, meanwhile, tried to focus on work and keep her feelings in check. Despite all of William's gestures, the wound caused by his distrust lingered deeply. One afternoon, while Sophia was working at her desk, she was interrupted by Emily, a competitive and somewhat cruel colleague. "Oh, Sophia, you really know how to use your special skills to climb up in the company, don't you?" Emily said with a venomous smile. Sophia stopped typing and looked at Emily, confused. "What are you talking about, Emily?" "You know, staying close to the boss, playing that good girl act. It seems to work. Who knows how far you can go with it?" Emily continued, her voice dripping with malice. Emily's words cut through Sophia like a knife. Before she could respond, William turned the corner and overheard the conversation. He quickly approached, his eyes locked on Emily. "Emily, care to explain what's happening here?" William asked firmly. Emily froze, realizing he was there. "Nothing, Mr. Bennett. Just a chat between colleagues." William crossed his arms, visibly irritated. "If that's your idea of a conversation, let me make something clear. I don't tolerate this kind of behavior on my team. Sophia is here because of her merit, and I won't allow anyone to suggest otherwise. Understood? Emily stammered an incoherent response before quickly leaving, clearly embarrassed. William turned to Sophia, who was still in shock. "Are you okay?" he asked, softening his tone. "Yes, thank you, William," Sophia replied, still processing what had happened. "Don't let people like her get to you. You're better than that," he said, giving her an encouraging smile before returning to his office. Later that same day, William decided he needed to understand more about Sophia's situation. He couldn't stop thinking about the two men who had confronted her outside the office. After making a few discreet calls, he discovered who they were. Loan sharks, known for preying on vulnerable people. Without hesitation, William arranged a meeting with them. He met them at a discreet location and got straight to the point. "Sophia Clark owes you nothing now. Here's the money she owed, with interest. And let me make something very clear. If I hear that you've approached her or her mother again, the consequences won't just be financial." The men, intimidated by William's serious demeanor, accepted the payment without question. As he left, William felt a weight lift off his shoulders. At last, Sophia would be free from this burden. Days later, Sophia found out what William had done. She learned from Chloe, who had heard a rumor about William getting directly involved with the men who were pressuring her. Outraged, Sophia went straight to his office. "William, I need to talk to you," she said, entering without knocking. He looked up from his papers, surprised by her determined expression. "Sure. What is it? Why did you pay my debt? Who gave you the right to interfere in my life like that?" she asked, her voice firm but full of emotion. William took a deep breath before responding. "I did it because I care about you, Sophia, and because I couldn't stand seeing you being threatened by those men." Sophia shook her head, frustrated. "You don't understand. That was something I needed to handle on my own. Now it feels like I owe you something. I never wanted that." William stood up and walked around the desk, approaching her. "You don't owe me anything, Sophia. I did it because I wanted to protect you, not out of obligation or for something in return." They stood in silence, staring into each other's eyes. The intensity of the moment was palpable. Suddenly, William stepped forward, and before he could stop himself, pulled Sophia into a kiss. She hesitated for a moment, but then reciprocated, letting herself get lost in the moment. When they finally parted, "William, Sophia began, but he interrupted her. "I know I messed up before, but I want to fix this. I want to be someone you can trust. Someone who can stand by your side no matter what." Sophia looked at him, still trying to process everything she was feeling. "This seems more complicated than it should be," she said with a shy smile. "Then let's simplify it." William took her hand and looked deeply into her eyes. "Sophia Clark, will you be my girlfriend?" Sophia was silent for a moment, but then she gave a small smile and nodded. "Yes, William, I will." William's smile was one of pure relief and happiness. He knew there were still challenges ahead, but at that moment, nothing else mattered. They were together, finally. In the days following their relationship's start, the dynamic between William and Sophia began to change. Work remained demanding, but the new dynamic brought an unexpected freshness to their routines. William seemed more relaxed and smiling, while Sophia, even with her worries, began to trust him more. One afternoon, while reviewing a marketing campaign, William looked at Sophia and smiled. "Have I told you how amazing you are at what you do?" he asked, casually. Sophia chuckled softly, looking down at the papers on the table. "No, but there's no need to exaggerate. I'm just doing my job." "No, really, you have a special talent. Your dedication is inspiring," he said, leaning forward as if to ensure she believed his words. Sophia blushed slightly, but before she could respond, Chloe walked into the room with a stack of documents. "Hope I'm not interrupting anything important or romantic," Chloe said, winking at Sophia. Sophia rolled her eyes while William smiled, clearly amused by the interruption. "We're working, Chloe," Sophia replied, trying to keep a serious tone. "Of course you are," Chloe retorted, placing the documents on the table. "Well, enjoy your work." And she left, casting a last suggestive look. William laughed, and Sophia shook her head, trying to hide the smile that was forming on her lips. As the days passed, the relaxed moments between them became more frequent. During a lunch at the office, William casually mentioned the idea of formally meeting Sophia's mother. I think it would be nice to spend more time with your mom. She seems like an amazing person, he said while eating. Sophia paused for a moment, surprised by the suggestion. You want to spend more time at the hospital? It's not the most pleasant environment. It's not about the environment. If it's important to you, then it's important to me, he replied sincerely. Sophia felt her heart warm at his words. It was hard for her to completely let her guard down, but William was proving to be someone she could trust. That same evening, while visiting Grace, William was greeted with a warm smile. William, it's good to see you again. Sophia can't stop talking about you, Grace said, looking at her daughter with a playful glint in her eyes. That's not true, Mom, Sophia protested, while William chuckled softly. It's always a pleasure to be here, Grace. How are you feeling today? He asked, skillfully changing the subject. The interaction between them was light and relaxed, making Sophia feel more at ease. William seemed to fit perfectly into the family dynamic, and Grace did not hide her approval. A few days later, William surprised Sophia by organizing a small outing for her. He knew she was exhausted from work and worrying about her mother, so he decided a bit of fresh air would do them both good. He took her to a quiet park, far from the hustle and bustle of the city. As they walked among the trees, Sophia felt the tension in her shoulders start to ease. Thank you for this, William. I really needed a moment like this, she said, looking at him with a genuine smile. You deserve so much more than this, Sophia. I just want to see you happy, he replied, gently taking her hand. Sophia glanced at their intertwined hands, feeling a surge of emotion. It was a simple gesture but filled with meaning. They sat on a bench near the lake, and Sophia began to open up more about her childhood, ambitions, and even fears. William listened attentively, never interrupting, taking in every word as if they were precious. You have so much strength, Sophia. It's something I truly admire about you, he said, holding her gaze. And you have a way of making me believe I can be even stronger, she replied, smiling. Suddenly, William leaned in slightly and kissed her. The kiss was tender, full of unspoken promises, solidifying the bond they had been building. After a moment, William pulled back gently, looking at her with a satisfied smile. I didn't know I could feel this way again. Until you came along, he confessed, his voice soft. Sophia felt her face flush but didn't look away. I think we feel the same, she admitted. The days that followed were marked by this newfound closeness. They balanced work with personal moments, trying to find a routine that worked for both. William started involving Sophia in his business decisions, seeking her opinions and valuing her ideas. Sophia, in turn, felt more confident and secure by his side. The office felt different since Sophia and William started dating. Although they kept their relationship discreet, it was impossible to completely hide the connection between them. Small gestures gave them away. A lingering glance, a subtle smile, or the way William always seemed to find an excuse to be near her. One morning, as Sophia was organizing her desk, William appeared at her office door holding an envelope. I need your help with something outside the office today. Can you come with me? He asked, trying to sound casual. Sure. What is it? Sophia asked, curious. We're visiting one of the company's partners. It's a quick trip, he said, leaving the invitation open-ended. Later, Sophia realized the trip was longer than she expected. In the car, William seemed more introspective than usual, but also relaxed. He drove her to a remote vineyard surrounded by rolling green hills and a flawless blue sky. Is this the partner? Sophia asked, surprised by the breathtaking view. William smiled, opening the car door for her. Not exactly. This place is special to me. I wanted to share it with you. Sophia was speechless as they walked through the vines. They sat at a reserved table on the terrace, where a small lunch awaited them. Sophia couldn't hide her curiosity. Why did you bring me here? William looked at her, serious, but with a hint of vulnerability. This place reminds me that life is about choices. I always come here when I need clarity. And lately, all I can think about is how much I want you to be a part of my life. Sophia's heart raced. Before she could respond, a waiter arrived with 2 glasses of wine, interrupting the moment. She used the pause to process what she had just heard. As they enjoyed lunch, William shared stories about his childhood, moments he rarely revealed to anyone. Sophia realized that behind the confident CEO was a man full of layers she was still discovering. When they returned to the office later that afternoon, Sophia felt closer to William than ever. However, the reality of their work environment quickly caught up with them. The next day, an important meeting with investors put them on opposing sides. During the presentation, Sophia challenged some of William's ideas, proposing bolder alternatives. Although the discussion remained professional, there was tension in the air. After the meeting, William called Sophia into his office. "You know, you could have told me about your ideas before the meeting, right?" he said, trying to sound firm. "And lose the spontaneity? I thought you liked challenges," Sophia replied, teasing him slightly. William studied her for a moment before smiling. "I do, but you caught me off guard, and that rarely happens." They laughed together, easing the tension. Work had always been important to both of them, but they were learning to balance their personal and professional lives in a unique way. Later that day, an unexpected incident shook Sophia's world. She got a call from Chloe, who was at the hospital. "Sophia, you need to come now. Your mom's condition has worsened." Chloe's voice was serious. Sophia dropped everything and rushed to the hospital. William, noticing her urgency, insisted on going with her. At the hospital, Grace was stable, but the doctors explained that her condition would require extra attention in the coming months. Sophia tried to stay calm, but silent tears fell as she listened to the instructions. William held her hand the whole time without saying a word. After the doctors left, he looked at Sophia, who was visibly shaken. "I'm here, Sophia. You don't have to go through this alone." Sophia hugged him, finding comfort in his presence. William seemed to be the anchor she needed at that moment. In the following days, William took an even more active role in her life. He helped adjust Sophia's work schedule, organized hospital visits, and did everything he could to lighten her load. This didn't go unnoticed by Chloe, who made sure to comment, "He really loves you, you know? It's not every day you find someone like that." Sophia didn't know how to respond. Although William's actions spoke volumes, she still struggled with the fear of depending on someone. But one night, while they were reviewing some papers at the office, William broke the silence. "Sophia, I know things have been tough, but I want you to know I'm here, no matter what. I want to be your foundation, your strength when you need it." Sophia looked at him, her eyes shining with a mix of emotion and gratitude. "I never imagined someone would do so much for me, for us." William moved closer, gently touching her face. "You deserve all of this and more, Sophia." This time she took the first step. Sophia kissed him, slowly and meaningfully. When they pulled apart, they both knew something had changed. They weren't just trying to find balance anymore. They were building something together, something neither of them could have predicted. Let's play a joke on those who only read the comments. Type milkshake in the comments. Only those who get this far will understand. Now let's continue the story. That night, as they left the office hand in hand, Sophia felt that, for the first time in a long time, the pieces of her life were finally falling into place. In the days that followed, the relationship between Sophia and William continued to grow stronger. His presence during her most difficult moments made her feel something she had long forgotten: security. Still, Sophia knew that the balance between her personal and professional life was delicate, especially since their relationship was the subject of glances and whispers at the office. One afternoon, while Sophia was working on an urgent project, Chloe approached her discreetly. "There's something you need to know," Chloe said, lowering her voice. "Emily is spreading rumors that you're getting special treatment because of William." Sophia sighed, already expecting this kind of comment. "That's not surprising, Chloe. She's always seen me as a threat, even before William." "True, but now she's trying to convince other colleagues. It seems she wants to make you feel isolated," Chloe continued. Sophia tried to stay calm, but Chloe's words hit hard. She didn't want her relationship with William to harm her professional reputation. She decided she needed to be proactive. Later that day, Sophia went to William's office. "We need to talk," she said, closing the door behind her. William looked at her, intrigued. "About what?" "About how our relationship is being viewed here. Some people are spreading rumors, and it could hurt my professional credibility." William grew serious, standing up from his chair. "Who's doing this?" "It doesn't matter who, William. The point is, I want to handle this on my own. I need to show that I'm here for my work, not because of what we have. William hesitated for a moment before agreeing. I understand your position, but know that if you need me, I'm here. Always. Sophia nodded, appreciating his support, but knew she had to face this on her own. That same night, something unexpected happened. While William was reviewing documents at home, he received a call from his personal security. Mr. Bennett, the men you paid to leave Miss Clark alone are lurking around again. We thought you should know. William felt anger boiling inside him. He had already dealt with this issue, but just knowing they were still around unsettled him. Without hesitation, he instructed that they be closely monitored. The next day, during work hours, William called Sophia into his office. I need to ask you something. Have you noticed anything strange lately? Anyone bothering you outside the office? He asked directly. Sophia frowned, puzzled. No. Why are you asking? William hesitated before responding. I just want to make sure you're safe. Sophia could tell he was hiding something, but decided not to press him. She knew William had a tendency to try to protect her at all costs, even when she didn't want him to. Later that day, as he left the office, William decided to confront the men again. He found them at a rundown bar downtown. When he walked in, they recognized him immediately and tried to justify their presence. Mr. Bennett, we don't want trouble. We're just here for a job, nothing to do with Miss Clark, one of them said. William interrupted, his voice firm and controlled. I'll say this only once. I don't want to see you near Sophia or her mother again. If I do, the consequences will be much more serious than just a conversation. Understood? The men quickly nodded, clearly intimidated. William left, feeling like he had put an end to the matter, but he knew he needed to be honest with Sophia. 2 days later, Sophia noticed something different about William. He seemed worried, as if carrying a burden. Determined to find out what was going on, she went to his office at the end of the day. William, what's going on? You've been acting strange lately, she said, closing the door behind her. William looked at her, clearly hesitant. Finally, he sighed. I went to see those men who were bothering you again. I found out they'd been hanging around, and I wanted to make sure they wouldn't trouble you anymore. Sophia froze, processing his words. Her first reaction was surprise, but frustration quickly followed. You did this again without telling me? She asked, her voice rising slightly. I did it because I care, Sophia. They were a threat to you and your mother. I couldn't just ignore it, William replied, trying to justify his actions. I don't need you handling everything for me, she shot back. I can deal with my own problems, William. This isn't about you, it's about me. Her tone made him realize he'd crossed a line. I understand, Sophia, but I can't just stand by and do nothing when you're in danger, he said sincerely. Silence filled the room. Both were visibly shaken, but something shifted in that moment. Sophia realized that, despite disagreeing with William's approach, he was acting out of genuine care. She took a deep breath, trying to calm down. I just need you to trust me, William. I don't want to feel like I'm dependent on you for everything. William stepped closer, gently taking her hands. I do trust you, Sophia. I just want to be someone you can rely on, without needing to ask. Sophia looked at him, emotion welling up inside her. Before she could respond, William leaned in and kissed her, a gesture full of tenderness and understanding. This time, the kiss wasn't just a moment of passion, but a bridge built after conflict. When they pulled apart, William smiled. I think we need to learn how to handle our differences, but I don't want them to push us apart. I want this to work. Sophia nodded, a small smile forming on her lips. Then let's make it work. Together. They embraced, knowing that, despite the challenges, they were stronger than ever. After all, they were learning that true love is built in moments of conflict, but strengthened in those of understanding. The months that followed were a mix of challenges and hope for Sophia and William. Between caring for Grace and the intense pace of work, their relationship blossomed, proving to be stronger with each passing day. Then, one afternoon, Sophia received the call she had been waiting for. Mrs. Clark? I have good news, the doctor said over the phone. Your mother is recovering very well. We can discharge her from the hospital in the next few days. Sophia felt immense relief. Tears of happiness welled up instantly, but this time they were tears of pure joy. As soon as she hung up, she ran to William's office. He was focused at his desk but dropped everything the moment he saw the sparkle in her eyes. "My mom is coming home," Sophia said, almost breathless, with a huge smile. William stood up, sharing her joy, and pulled her into a tight embrace. "That's incredible, Sophia. I knew this day would come. I want to bring her home as soon as possible. I'm so excited, William," she said, trying to contain her excitement. "And I want to be there with you. Let's do it together." Sophia hesitated but knew his presence would make the day even more special. On Saturday, they went to the hospital. Sophia couldn't hide her excitement as she walked down the hallways with William. When they reached Grace's room, she greeted them with a radiant smile. "My girl," Grace said, extending her arms to Sophia. Sophia ran to hug her while William stood by, watching warmly. "And this is the gentleman who doesn't leave my daughter's side," Grace said, teasing as she cast an inquisitive look at William. "I'm just doing my duty, Grace," William replied with a warm smile. With care and William's help, they brought Grace home. Sophia arranged everything to ensure her mother's utmost comfort. In the days that followed, Grace showed surprising improvement. She joked that William was taking better care of her than Sophia. "You're stealing my place, William," Grace said as he served her tea. "I'm just making sure you're well enough to keep winning at cards," he replied, drawing laughter. The time together created an even stronger bond between William and Grace, which warmed Sophia's heart. Months later, William planned something special for Sophia without her suspecting. One night, he asked her to take the weekend off, insisting he needed her rested for a surprise. Intrigued, Sophia agreed. On Saturday, William took her to a secluded beach. The sky was painted in orange hues by the sunset, and the breeze was gentle. He led her along a path to a gazebo, decorated with delicate lights and flower petals. A table was set with wine glasses and candles swaying in the wind. "William, what is all this?" Sophia asked, stunned by the beauty of the place. He didn't answer immediately. He just held her hand and led her to the table. After dinner, as they talked about the future, William stood up, visibly emotional. "Sophia, all this is to show how special you are to me. You've changed my life in ways I can't even count." He held her hand, then knelt down. "I don't want to spend another day without you by my side. Will you marry me?" Sophia put her hands over her face, surprised and emotional. Tears flowed freely as she said, "Yes, William. Yes, 1,000 times, yes." William slipped a delicate ring on her finger before standing and kissing her. The moment felt like a dream, but it was real, and they both knew it was just the beginning of something even greater. Months later, Sophia and William stood at the altar. The wedding day had been carefully planned, with every detail reflecting the love and journey they had shared. Sophia looked stunning in her white dress, while William waited at the altar, unable to contain his smile as he saw her. Grace, sitting in the front row, watched with tears in her eyes. To her, that moment was a miracle, something she never imagined she'd live to see. "My daughter found someone who loves her the way she deserves," Grace said to Chloe, who was sitting next to her. When Sophia reached William at the altar, they exchanged looks that said more than any words. The vows they shared brought tears to the guests' eyes. "Sophia, you've taught me what true love is. I promise to be by your side in every moment, to support you, to love you, and to respect you. Today I give you my heart." William said, his voice full of emotion. "William, you came into my life unexpectedly but brought light, strength, and love. I promise to love you with all that I am and to face life with you, no matter what comes our way," Sophia responded, tears streaming down her face. When the officiant declared them husband and wife, the kiss they shared was followed by warm applause. The reception was a joyful celebration, filled with heartfelt speeches and dancing that lasted into the night. Grace, watching Sophia and William dance under the soft lights, felt a peace she hadn't experienced in a long time. Her daughter was happy, fulfilled, and loved. It was all she had ever dreamed of. Years later, Sophia and William would look back on that day as the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. They built a family based on love, partnership, and respect. And whenever they faced challenges, they remembered how it all started, with an unexpected encounter that completely transformed their lives. Their story was proof that true love isn't perfect, but it's unbreakable when built with sincerity, effort, and dedication. Do you think Sophia was right to forgive William? Share your thoughts in the comments. How would you rate this story on a scale from 0 to 10? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to follow all our stories. And don't forget to check out more emotional stories by clicking here on the end screen.